another familiar face has been around for quite a few years. Todd Duckett comes from us. He came to MSU out of MSU, where he was the Great American National Player of the Year. He played for at state from '99 to 2001. And I know that most everybody in here can't forget that one little play where he just stood in the end zone and the ball took 9 days to get to him. We have to blame that one on Smoker. As he left MSU, he's drafted in the first round by Atlanta, played for a number of years in Atlanta, went on and played with the Redskins, Lions, and Seahawks. Right now, he does a lot of community work. I'll let him tell you this, but he works with his brother Tico here in town. We appreciate him coming here. See, the other thing I have about him is, and I know y'all mentioned it, is he participates in St. Baldrick's Children Cancer Fundraiser. We spoke about it last year, about, as Coach did, and everybody talks about this nice beard that holds his teeth in it. With that, I'm just going to introduce Todd Duckett.
Thank you. If I was 40 pounds heavier and sat down, you might have felt it. I love being here. We've done a lot of talking about our past, and we've done a lot of talking about futures. We all live in the present. We all live now. And it's been a lot of football conversation. Like, I don't know if you've caught it, but he called me Todd instead of TJ. Todd was the name my mother gave me. It was the name that I had when I was born. And another conversation, or another man said something about full circle. That was the name that I was, before I knew anything about football, before I knew anything about anything in the world, my name was Todd. And as I got older, I didn't like the name Todd. I liked TJ. And I also started to like football as well. And the next days of my life, those next days were focused on TJ and future, or TJ and football. Every day was TJ and football. It was TJ wakes up, and then TJ goes to class, then practices football. Now, 27 years later from that very moment, football has left my life. And once football left my life left me altogether. And I didn't have a true identity. I didn't really, people say, hey, great catch. Okay, that was happened years ago. Or we've seen you play, hey, okay, I'm normal now. And it took some time last year where I went through a finding myself process. And within that, you always are told in football-related words, they say if you're doing too much, go back to your fundamentals. Whenever you're doing too much anywhere else, I always say you gotta go home. So in my confusion in my life, I went back home to Todd, who I was when I grew up, who I was as a kid as I was born, when my mother and God knew what my path was gonna be. I went back to that moment. And to get back to that moment, I had no time to worry about the future because I didn't know what that would be. And the past, I'm kind of trying to leave the past where it was. So it allowed me to live in the present. And living in the present, I realized how much ability I, as a person, had to help change the lives of others. Football brings a lot of glory and a lot of joy to people's lives on a Saturday afternoon, Sunday, Friday in high school. But it's such a bigger world. That's 3 hours out of our lives. And the best part about those 3 hours out of our lives, that's really the only 3 hours in our lives that we don't see, whether it's race, whether it's sex, whether it's financial differences. We don't see that. All we see is green and white, or none of the other colors matter. But seeing that happen in my whole life growing up, whether it was in high school, college, or the professional teams that I played on, those 3 hours, we were one as a people. We were all together. And you remove yourself, the game's over, your team wins or loses, now you're back into your own world. And really that present time that you're in, if you lost, you can't wait till next week to fix it. And if you won, you spend all week talking about it. So now, where I'm at, where I am as Todd the man, it's about not just the football field, but how do you bring people together to help feed the homeless? How do you bring people together when a parent dies? How do you bring together people, not on a football field, but on the whole playing field of life, and have them have the same ability? Now, in athletics, yeah, I was blessed to be 260 pounds and run a 4.4. I mean, there aren't very few people who can do that. But we are all blessed to have hearts. We are all blessed to have minds. And we are all blessed to help in whatever our capacity is, whatever our ability is. A simple handshake, a simple opening the door, a simple smile is just as important to that person in need as my touchdown catch against Michigan was. And it only doesn't just affect the Michigan State community, it also affects the whole entire world, and it rings out echoes for everybody else. So now that I live my life for the betterment and to provide for the others that are around me. And not everyone always likes the things that I do. But again, you have to come back to who you are. And who you are is what we are all born to be. Nobody can be you, and nobody's trying to be you. We have to spend our time being ourselves. And I mean, it's a hard process for me to have to go from Todd to TJ, for you all having to go from whatever you did last week to now walking out this door and thinking, okay, what is the best way for me to help the next person in need? And by doing that, you as a person, you feel like you may be losing something, but you gain so much more that the universe has allowed us to give to each other. And I fully have been more satisfied